Greetings everybody, it's Leviathan here, and I am bringing you a highly anticipated guide. Over the weekend I did a little bit of a poll to see what my Twitter followers wanted me to do in terms of the last guide I would really work on before Season 11 started. So it's probably going to be one of the last videos you see on the channel before we dig deep into Season 11. And if you've watched the previous videos, you've seen that we're going ham in Season 11, 24 plus hours, but we'll get to more of that later. This is going to be my early leveling Necromancer stuff. Greater Rift 20 4-piece Rathma. This is essentially just going to give you all the tips that you need when you're starting out as a fresh Necromancer. Just got to level 70. What the hell do I do now? One thing to keep in mind, of course, is Haedrig's Gift is a thing. This is particularly geared for Season 11, right? So Season 11, Haedrig's Gift, complete chapters 2, 3, and 4. You'll get the 3 Haedrig's Gifts, and they deliver 2 pieces of the set to you until you have the full 6-piece. That's Bones of Rathma for the Necromancer this season, and that's, you know, the lovingly called pet set. So if you're trying to do the command skeletal mage thing, this is the set for you. Army of the Dead's in there too, but I mean, come on, no one's really doing much with that, except we will be with our Greater Rift 20 clear. So let's start out though talking about exactly what I did to simulate what it's like to start a season off with next to nothing, no resources, no good luck, no RNG helping you out to be efficient at all. So you can see, obviously we're doing non-season right now because the season hasn't started yet, but I wanted to emulate what it would be like to just be resource poor, poor on items, poor on everything. I have a ton of Paragon, right? I'm not using any of it. None of it has been spec'd at all during any of this testing, any of this simulation. Just 0 points across the board, and that actually is probably going to be worse off than you are, because as soon as you get to level 70, you start racking up that experience. You're going to be getting a few Paragon levels here and there, so you'll be putting yours in. I have none. Also, nothing in the cube, right? I have 0 items that I've used in my cube. By this point, maybe early in the season, just got to 70, you know, you probably go and do your bounties and then get some legendary materials, and then you might start cubing some powers. Maybe along the way to 70 you picked up a couple of legendaries and you'll throw things in the cube. So again, you're going to be better off than I was. All I did, gear-wise, was I got to 70, I threw away everything that I used to get to 70, and I just crafted a bunch of level 70 pieces at Haedrig. Anyone can do this as long as your blacksmith is leveled up all the way. You just come here, you say, I want a belt, and he has level 70 yellow belts for you. So you just craft them. They're very inexpensive, you know, 1,000 gold, 15 of each material. You do that across all your slots. For the jewelry, you go over to Covetous Shen, and you do the same thing. Get 2 rings, get an amulet. For the purposes of what I was doing, all I did was make those. I crafted 1 of each in each slot, and then I gave myself 3 chances to reroll, because obviously I have a ton of gold, right? And I have a ton of resources and everything like that. So it's going to be really hard for me to track what I had earned versus what I already had. So I just said, let me limit myself. I'm going to be pretty poor in the beginning of a season. I'm not going to have a lot of mats. So just 3 rerolls on pieces. So like, let's say, man, I really want a socket on my scythe. 3 chances at it. You know, obviously in some of these cases I got lucky. I was like, all right, I want sockets in my pants. And then I was able to get those within the 3 rerolls. But, you know, some things might not be so great. One of the things to mention in this current video that you see is I threw away the 4 pieces that I ended up replacing for the Greater Rift 20 simulation. So I can't show you exactly what those pieces were, but you can see here, just I replaced them with, you know, another craft of each slot. And I did have a socket in the one that I was testing, so it was nice to be able to put like a vitality gem in there, because the build that I'm going to show you guys right now, in fact, doesn't really use anything that has cooldowns. So you're wondering, alright, I just made to level 70, stop talking to me. What do I want to use for skills? Easy stuff, right? Bone Spikes, Frost Spikes, a generator. This is a nice generator, it's range. One of the things that Necromancer is known for is being particularly squishy, especially if you're not geared up well. So early season is going to certainly be one of those instances. Another thing to note before we go any further is I'm on Torment I. That's what you're striving for as soon as you hit 70, because that's when set pieces can start to drop for you. That's in general just where you want to be as a starting point. So, you know, don't want to be wasting your time in the lower difficulties when you could potentially be working towards your Trag'Oul set, or your Inarius set, or just more pieces of Bones of Rathma before you get all 6 through the Haedrig's Gift setup. So it's really good to get to T1, and this build is more than capable of doing it. It's not going to be super fast, you're not going to blow the world away, and if you're in a group, you know, things will just go even faster for you because group synergy is way better than just being solo. But I did all this solo with like no follower. You can also see the follower has jack shit for gear, you know, a couple of things that we found along the way, but that's about it. Follower's not doing too much for us. So it's really just us with our skills and build that made it through, getting some decent coverage and surviving Torment 1. So again, Frost Spikes, Bone Spikes, nice range one, slows the enemies from getting to you, some decent Essence generation. Now you want Essence generation because you have Skeletal Mage, Singularity. This is your workhorse within this build. These guys will do pretty much all the damage for you because what happens is they drain all your Essence when you cast it. But for every point of Essence, they gain a lot of power. You can read on screen right there what the rune for Singularity exactly does, but basically what you need to know is you just want to always be bringing Essence in, and that's why you have Bone Spikes. That's why you also have Devour Cannibalize, so any corpses you make, you devour those to get more Essence, and also with Cannibalize, you're getting more life just to keep you a little safe. And then you're just pouring all that back into Skeletal Mages. The way I use Skeletal Mages actually just, if I have the Essence to cast it, I cast it. I'm not waiting to fill the bulb up. Sometimes you can, but for the most part, you're never getting to the cap of 10 Skeletal Mages anyway. So you just want to be getting them out there because the ones that, you know, you could wait until you fill up the bulb, but by the time you do that, you're probably losing all the other ones you had out anyway. So just have them out there to be attacking stuff. Kind of adds up to be the same thing if you think about it. And they will do the damage for you. They're the ones that are going to help you clear the rifts. Blood Rush Potency, just for a little bit of mobility. Also a little bit of armor after you complete that Blood Rush, just to keep you safe. You will get vortexed and feared and jailed and pulled around and stuff, so having a nice escape plan is good. Command Skeleton's Frenzy, another mode of single target. This is obviously directed single target, so whenever you come up against elites like the Yellows or the Rift Guardian, feel free to just command your skeletons. They'll get that increased attack speed and just go to town, killing that enemy very quickly. Combined with Singularity Mages, like single target's great in this build. Frailty, Scent of Blood, just a nice synergistic buff to get your pets doing more damage. You can see the rune here makes it so that cursed enemies take 15% increased damage from your minions. We have minions, it's going to be good. And then you combine synergy there with this passive, Spreading Malediction, which makes it so that any enemy that you have cursed gives you a 1% damage increase. So essentially you want to curse all the things on screen so that all your pets are doing extra damage to it, and then you get more damage based on the passive. Speaking of the passives, we talked about Devour Cannibalize, so we can skip that. The other passives are more pet support. Extended Servitude is going to allow you to have those Skeletal Mages out just a wee bit longer, which is great since you had to use so much Essence to get them in the first place. Now they should stay around and kill good stuff for you. And then Commander of the Risen Dead, again, you're pouring all your Essence into your Skeletal Mages, so you don't want to waste too much of it on commanding your skeletons. So this will just reduce that cost so that, you know, if you do come up against an elite or something big that you want to target, you can just send them there at minimal cost. Last but not least, Final Service. You know, I personally am a hardcore player, so I want to stay alive. I want no room for error. Even in an early Necromancer's life, you might still want to have this just for the convenience of not dying. Maybe on softcore you probably get rid of this because you can, you know, survive, and if you die and you just come right back. So if you do, maybe swap it out for something like Swift Harvesting, maybe Dark Reaping. If you decide to go the route of killing Malthael and getting the Reaper's Wraps plan early, you know, you get those bounty mats and you want to craft something nice in your bracer slot, go and get the Reaper's Wraps and then go with Life from Death, so then you'll have globes coming in, and that actually factors in very nicely with this build because then you'll have a lot of Essence coming in with the Reaper's Wraps power, and then you'll be able to just keep that Essence going. So that's pretty much how this goes. I'll show you a quick little preview here of the build in action, and you can see it's pretty much just, you know, spam them out, kill stuff, devour the corpses, get more Essence, spam them out. Whenever we come up against elites, you'll see we just command the skeletons to make sure that they're doing their increased attack speed damage against the elites. We have nice single target, as I keep mentioning, so stuff will just melt relatively quickly. The biggest thing you have to do is just make sure that you're continuing to devour the corpses, and then of course watch your Necromancer's positioning, because there's a lot of nasty stuff that the elites will do to you, and you can take some hits. Like you can see, stood through that arcane, that's fine. Getting electrified, that's fine. So you can still take some hits the way that we are set up here at the beginning of the season, but obviously you don't want to let yourself get hit by too much stuff. So that's pretty much it. You saw that blue pack melted very quickly, right? That's basically how things go. Just devour, generate, get your mages out, command your skeletons, Simple as that. And also, of course, make sure that you're casting Frailty so that you're continuing to get that increased damage, and of course killing them even earlier than they should die because of that nice Frailty execute. Alright, so you've seen this in action, and you're probably now wondering, alright, this is fine, it's gonna work, you know, it's nice, thank you very much for showing me that. But what about Greater Rifts? I need to be able to get my Greater Rift 20 done, and all I have is a 4-piece of this set. Is that any good? I don't have the 6-piece, which gives me all the power, all the damage. Well, don't worry, I got you covered. You throw on these 4 pieces, right? I just simulated having 4 random pieces. These are actually the slots represented that you'll get from the first 2 Haedrigs. A helm, shoulders, gloves, and boots. And you can see we still kept everything else the same. This is literally what I used to do this run that I'm going to show you actually in just a moment. I'll show you the full run too. You can go ahead and watch, you know, all 14 minutes of it or so. Because the thing to note is that with the Greater Rift 20, you're probably going to be at the edge of your gear. I'm doing it with the worst circumstances. I still had no Paragon. I still had no things in my cube. I didn't give myself legendary gems. Like, you might have already gone and done a Greater Rift below 20 just to get a Bane of the Powerful. You might have visited the vault and maybe got some good stuff there. Again, you could have done Reaper's Wraps. Like, there's so many things you could do to improve what I've done. You know, convert one of your scythes from a rare into a legendary. That would help a ton. Imagine a Tragul's Fang. Imagine a Scythe of the Cycle. Like, there's so many ways to boost your damage and make this even better. But I literally did it in the worst possible conditions, so I know you can do it with more favorable conditions. So we kept everything the same in terms of what we had when we were doing just the normal all rares through Torment 1. And we subbed in these 4 pieces, just randomly generated from my cube. I basically took extra Rathma pieces that I had. I cycled them to be the right pieces in the set that you would get from Haedrig's, and then I rolled them once. I figured at this point maybe I would have you know, a few Forgotten Souls, so I'd be able to roll these at least once just to be maybe a bit better. So you can see there I was able, oh boy, regen life. A little bit of attack speed, which actually isn't bad. I got some Skeletal Mage damage, which actually isn't bad. And then these I didn't roll at all, because I was like, well, all the stats are decent. I don't really want anything else, so I didn't touch them. But that's it. Otherwise, everything stayed the same. The only things that I changed, because if you look at what you get when you have the 4-piece, you have the 2-piece set, which allows your minions, whenever they attack, to have a chance, not a guarantee, but a chance to reduce the cooldown of your Army of the Dead by 1 second when they deal damage. So, you know, it's going to come back faster, but you can't guarantee that every hit they do will reduce that cooldown. And then the 4-piece gives you that nice 50% damage reduction for 15 seconds as long as your minions continue to attack. They'll give you the stacks and keep that damage reduction going for you. So it kind of sounds like you should use Army of the Dead, right? Normally a pretty trash skill, normally not that great, honestly. But in a Greater Rift 20, it can actually do some work, especially against the trash mobs. It'll group them up nicely and kill them, and then you'll be able to generate corpses off of them, get your Devour going, because what I'm about to show you is that the build does not change all that much for the Greater Rift 20. All I did was, instead of Frailty, put in Army of the Dead, and I went with Death Valley, which is the one that just brings all the enemies towards the center. I like that one. I don't know, you could probably go with any of the others too. I didn't really do too much testing with the others. I would have avoided maybe Dead Storm just because it hits your life, and you know, I want to stay safe. So I went with Death Valley, and then since we're not using a curse anymore, I swapped out Spreading Malediction and went with Dark Reaping, so that whenever we got a kill, we're getting some life back and some essence back, which again, you know, feeds into the Skeletal Mages being able to get more essence to power them forward. Otherwise, everything else stayed the same. Everything I just told you still applies. You know, the Extended Servitude, it's all working towards your Skeletal Mages just doing that damage, and you're using Army of the Dead whenever you have it essentially up and the pack of stuff looks good, whether it's an elite, whether it's a bunch of trash mobs in front of you. That's pretty much how that goes. So we'll actually just pop in here to the Greater Rift setup and show you. You can see there's the gear right there, same gear I was just showing you right before I started. And we got this Rift. Like I was mentioning, the only thing you need to do is beat the Greater Rift 20 in less than 15 minutes, right? So it doesn't matter if you light the world on fire, doesn't matter if you blaze this in 5 minutes. As long as you get it done, you get it done, and then you unlock your 6-piece, you know, right after this is done, essentially, if you're doing your seasonal journey in the right order. So, you know, all you need really is to just continue to play the same way we have been. Your Singularity mages are gonna chunk stuff down, kill them up, you're gonna devour those corpses, and continue to pump out those mages while also generating essence from your bone spikes. So pretty much that's it. I'll let this video continue to run. Like I said, you know, the Greater Rift itself took about 13 or so minutes. It was pretty decent. We had some pylons, but we didn't have any of like the awesome ones like Conduit or Power. They were spread out pretty decently. The mobs were okay, nothing great. The elite density was okay, nothing great. So this is kind of like average in my opinion. Again, using low-level gems, rare pieces, the 4 pieces that we got of the Rathma set. No Paragon, no cube powers. I can do it, you can do it. So, you know, feel free to sound off in the comments section. Let me know if there's anything that you have trouble with or questions on, especially as the season continues, because, you know, I'll be able to check in and hopefully guide you if you're having some issues early season. But if this does work for you, also feel free to come back and be like, oh, this was perfect. So we know we were on the right path here. I personally will be playing the Demon Hunter to start out my season, but I'll probably squeeze some Necromancer in there too, especially if they end up in the meta. But maybe that's another video for another time, or another discussion for another time. But definitely come by the stream. It's twitch.tv/Leviathan111. We're going to be there right at the beginning of Season 11, which is July 20th, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're doing at least a 24-hour stream, likely going to be in the 30-plus hour range. So it's going to be a hell of a time. We're going for high tier conquest ranks, you know, gonna get that Greater Rift 70 done to start racking up the primals, all that good stuff. So please come by, feel free to hang out with us. We'll keep you company if you're trying to go late into the night as well, on Thursday into Friday, all weekend long. Otherwise, you know what to do. It's YouTube. Like, subscribe, share, chat, comment, all the good stuff. I'll catch you guys next time. Enjoy this clear, and good luck. Season 11. Get hype.